Welcome to the Build with Boundaries podcast. My name is Manaz, and this podcast is for mums who want to carve out time so that you can work in ways that work for you, your life, your family, and of course your business. Together, we will discover why you are not prioritizing your business and the actions that you can take so you can live an intentional, productive, and fulfilled life without mum guilt. So let's dive in to today's episode.
Welcome to episode 68 of the Built with Boundaries podcast. So I welcome you here, and today I have a topic that is of real interest to busy mums because we can feel like we might be overgiving, but how do we recognize that? It's very, very difficult for us to look at what we do and how we are handling our day-to-day in an objective way. So I'm going to share with you, and hopefully you will get some insights as you're listening. Please do grab a pen and paper if you need to jot things down or ask yourself some questions. So are you an overgiver? Such a tricky one, because as mums, we are born and almost like built in with this desire and also a need to serve others, right? To nurture others. And when you have children and you have lots of demands of your time, of your energy, of your attention, it can feel like we need to do everything and we need to say yes to everything that comes our way. It's almost like if there's an opportunity for us to help, we can't help but step in. So I want you to take a moment just for yourself to have a think about where you might actually be being an overgiver. Now, giving isn't a bad thing, and that's what we are here to do, right? To help others, to nurture others, to look after others and be carers. So for us to do that, we have to have this kind of inbuilt desire, and that serves us really well. But when we do something a little bit more, and I'm calling it overgiving here, is we don't realise where our own boundaries are or what's actually having a negative effect on us, because we just have this insatiable desire to have to say yes to anything that comes our way. If we can help, we will say yes, basically. So I want you to think about this kind of giving as being a bit of a scale. And, we are definitely on the scale somewhere in terms of how much we give. But are we hitting into the zone of overgiving? Are we in that border in the middle? Or are we definitely way past it on to the overgiving side? Because what happens is we can have habits and routines and things that are just happening for us, right? Life goes on and things will keep happening, and they can build habits in us. It's like second nature for us to say yes. For example, if we just want to take that example, somebody asks us to do something and we just say yes, whatever it is. Maybe you can't help them with the full thing, but you'll help them so far. You'll give them a hand, you'll listen to them, you'll make ideas or suggestions. It's that automatic reaction of saying yes. And we might be not realising that we're bordering onto this overgiving side where we're actually not caring for ourselves or our well-being by doing that. And the reason for that is all these things that we feel that we have to do can then lead to us overextending ourselves. And you might find that that happens quite often. And it might not be like major things like I have done this XYZ and I can actually put my finger on it, but it's just all the stuff, right? When somebody messages you, emails you, you feel like you have to reply right away. Like, we do not expect that of anybody. If we sent an email to someone, we would at least give them some grace, some timing, so that they can respond. But we don't necessarily do that for ourselves because we put ourselves in this place, in this position where we feel that we have to be responding right away. Like nobody is going to die if we don't answer the email within 30 minutes of it hitting our inbox. So why are we driving ourselves crazy by the habits that we have created through routine and through repetition? Because that's what a habit is, right? But because of this, it's going to be affecting us, and we don't really necessarily associate the two together. See if this resonates with you. It can be things like because we feel we have to go in there and help somebody right away, it can lead to us not trusting others as much because we're not able to ask for help, are we? I mean, it might not be our place to ask for the help, it might be somebody else asking for it, but does it have to be me who answers? Is it all fully my responsibility? Because you could be in a room full of people or family, for example, and one person asks for something. Now, there are other individuals in that room too. Yet we feel like we have to lead. We have to take care of the situation, of the drama, of the challenge. And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. But we don't take a moment to think which of those applies. And this just means that we set ourselves up with kind of unrealistic expectations of ourselves, and it's affecting our own well-being, because if you feel like you're just caught up in your brain, it just feels like you have 100 million things going on at the same time and you cannot let anybody down. It might be that the boundaries that you have over time created without even realizing they are there, the fact that they're not there, or the fact that they are not the right ones, it is having an effect on you. And we don't often associate this with our well-being, but we're getting stressed. Our head is full, so we don't want to explode with our own overwhelm and stress and worry and concerns. So it's not natural for us to throw that out to the people that we are helping. Instead, we just keep it in and we keep on going and we keep on managing. And we can manage so far, but we may need some tools to help us. We may need some boundaries. We may need to start looking at the habits we've created, and we may need to start thinking about the fact that we need to change them. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to change things that are become a habit, but this is exactly why us looking at our situation and somebody else looking at our situation can be so helpful. So, the first thing that you can do is definitely talk to somebody who you trust and share, because their view and their perspective will be very different than what yours is. And just getting another perspective on it can sometimes open us up for things that we can't see ourselves. And, the last thing we want is have that extra stress, because we're living in a world of stress. There is nothing but bad news, sad news all around us. We don't need to add extra pressure onto ourselves, because when we then add all of these things on, we are ultimately overloading ourselves. We're not really thinking about what our capacity is and allowing for that time that we need in the middle to just pause and look inward and take time to actually reflect on what's helpful and what's not helpful. Because we can only make empowered decisions when we are seeing the full picture. And usually when we're in a situation, we're just looking at that one thing and making a decision. Because, my child needs help, I have to say yes. Because my neighbour needs something, I have to go right now. It's messages coming in, it's emails. There will be so many different things that are going on. And I think just starting to notice what those things are and why are we almost in this state of alert. And as soon as we're in that state of alert, whenever there's a request that comes in, we cannot refuse it. In fact, we go out of our way to make a point of saying that we can help. And all that leads us to is when we finally have time to do all the things that we've said we wanted to, we don't know where to start, and we have overloaded ourselves. And our brain just feels frazzled, and it feels like because there's all these things you've already committed to, we have to firefight through all the things. It's not a great place to be because we're not being proactive in what we're wanting to do. We are in reactive mode where we react according to the situation. So we're allowing the situation to rule us. I think that's the biggest thing that I have noticed. That is the moment that is invaluable, because when we start seeing that we are in this reactive mode, when is the next time I'm in that reactive mode? Really bringing awareness to it. That's so powerful, because we can't do anything about anything until we first notice it. So yeah, this is a prompt for you to take that moment, have a pause and ask yourself, where is it that I'm overgiving? Just have an awareness around what is happening, and when do I go in and say yes? When do I accept or take on responsibility for something? When do I put my hand up and say I'll help? Maybe all of those moments don't actually need us, and somebody else who is more than capable could step up, but we're never really in a position for allowing them to do that because of how we are acting. And it's a hard one. It is something that we have to see for ourselves. So I hope this episode's given you some insights, and if there is anything you feel you need support with in terms of having more structure and routine, being less guilty about all the stuff that you're doing, and doing it in a way that you're not wasting your own precious time. The most precious thing that we have is time, and not being stressed, let's not forget, and looking after ourselves, putting ourselves first so that we can serve others better. And if that means setting boundaries, well, whatever comes my way, changing my habits, if you are up for that, then I would love to chat to you, because that is exactly what I do. I love to help bring harmony into your life, and we cannot do that when we're in this firefighting mode. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you.